Hey everybody, it's Marcus and Scott coming to you from my home studio here just outside of Chicago, Illinois, near Six Flags Great America. It has been way too long since I have posted a video like this or done an episode of my podcast, Coast in the Country, my theme park podcast I do through WGN. And all my podcast equipment is at WGN Studios, and I haven't been at WGN Studios since March 17th or March 16th, I think it was the last time I was there working. So it's been months since I've been in there. I miss doing the podcast, and I miss feedback and talking to all of you guys who've been listening to it and watching these videos and so forth. But there's been so much theme park news this week talking about all these places announcing when they're going to be opening. Disney, Universal, some of the big names in the business, and Six Flags also put out a video this week where they're talking about all the safety protocols, safety features they're going to be implementing inside their theme parks when they open up after this COVID-19 outbreak. So I was actually off earlier this week, taking a little bit of a holiday around Memorial Day, but I took some time to go over to Six Flags Great America on Tuesday and meet with the park president, Hank Salemi. He had a bunch of media out there to talk about sort of these safety protocols that they were unveiling, and just to kind of walk through it a little bit and to answer our questions, because I know so many of you have had questions about this. And so I'm going to play you basically the entire interview that I did with Hank, but I'm going to break it down into different segments, and we can sort of even dive a little deeper into those, because if you watch the news, one of the challenges we have in the news is take all this information that we get and sort of edit it down into like a 2 or 3 minute package, what we call it. And with something like this, you can't get to all of the information that they're giving you in that period of time. So sorry, I'm even blathering right now. It's been 2.5 minutes or I haven't gotten to the interview yet. So first thing when I went in and talked to Hank was I just asked him straight up, how are things going right now? What's going on, and what can you tell me about overall the safety procedures and how you plan to open this thing up? Take a look.
Really, really working hard. We've put together a very comprehensive plan that when the state of Illinois is ready and we're ready to go, when we feel like we can be as safe as possible, then we're going to be ready to go with a very comprehensive plan that includes capacity control, social distancing, extreme sanitation, and is going to be, like me, wearing these masks that make sure that the people who come here and the people who work here are as relatively safe as anywhere else you can go.
Yeah, and so following up on that a little bit, he mentioned they're talking to the state of Illinois, really trying to convey that information over to them. And the next question I had was, have you actually had any conversations with the state? How much has Six Flags Great America been in contact with officials at the state of Illinois? Here's what he had to say about that.
We have been actively talking to not only the state, Village of Gurnee, Lake County had a very, very good call with the Village of Gurnee and Lake County officials, Lake County Health Department just a few weeks ago. They feel comfortable that we've put a great plan together, and we're hopeful to be able to get that plan in front of the governor's office very, very soon.
And so very, very soon, what does that mean, right? Like, when are they actually talking with the governor? There have been some reports over the last couple of days that Six Flags Great America would be meeting with the governor's people or having a conference call with the governor's people as soon as this coming weekend. I did follow up with Six Flags Great America to confirm that, and all they would tell me was that there was no definite date that they would be talking with the governor, just that they expect it to happen very soon. So it sounds like there is some avenue of communication there, and they plan to sit down and talk about it very soon. I think one of the things they want to let the governor know is that, Six Flags Great America and parks like it aren't like a traveling circus, or a traveling carnival, right? That goes from city to city. They have sort of an infrastructure there and everything, and sort of explain some of these safety measures that we're going to be talking about. So one of the things that they're doing, like so many places, is they're trying to control the capacity inside the park when they reopen. They want to keep the numbers down lower, the crowds down lower than they have been in the past. So one of the ways they're going to do this is with a reservation system. So I asked him about this reservation system and exactly how that's going to work. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about this by now, but if not, here's just a little bit of a refresher. Take a listen.
In the past, you were just able to come on any given day, whether you're a season pass holder, a member, or just having a single day ticket. You won't be able to do that anymore without making a reservation through our reservation system first. That will allow us to know when you're coming, the day you're coming, the time even of day that you're coming, and we'll be able to manage the amount of people coming into the park. So capacity control is going to be the very first step. we will be opening at a lower capacity. We're going to start at around the 25% capacity level, probably even start a little bit lower than that until we understand what the park looks like at these different levels with the new normal here in the park. So we need to make sure we're doing it right, that there's plenty of space. We're actually, Marcus, a 300-acre theme park. If you talk about some of the forest preserves, the parks, and other places around Lake County, for instance, they are much, much, much smaller that are open today. So we just think our footprint, our size, allows us to be socially distant, and allows our guests to be socially distant more than ever before.
So one of the things that I've heard from a lot of you about this reservation system is the worry that with only 20-25% of capacity starting with this, that some of those key dates or weekend dates that you like to go to Six Flags Great America as a season pass holder, as a membership, as a member, that a lot of those prime dates might be gone like that. So how is the system going to work? Will there be a rush to get certain dates once this happens? And what happens if all those dates fill up extremely quickly? I asked them about that too.
Well, it is a first come, first served system. So people will be able to go in when that opens up for Six Flags Great America. People will be able to go in. They'll pick the day they want to come and the time they want to come, and it'll automatically manage the capacity of that time. For people can't arrive any time before that time. So if they put in 10 a.m. on June the 28th, they would have to come on June the 28th anytime after 10 a.m. Again, that just keeps people from just jamming all at one time and trying to get here first. If that time is full, they can go on for another time that day. Once that day fills up, they would have to go to another day and select another day and another time. I think we're going to be as accommodating as possible. We do understand that this being closed and obviously the way that the season has gone so far, we need to make sure that we're taking care of our members and our season pass holders as well as anybody who has a ticket. And we've been through our fresh desk, through online and through phone calls, doing our very best to accommodate just about anybody we can. For memberships, for instance, if you do continue with your membership, it does tack on to the end, and we're also adding a free upgrade in memberships. So if you're a certain level of memberships and decide to continue to stay with us as a member, you will automatically get a higher upgrade, a higher level of your memberships. We are putting memberships, season passes for every day that we're closed in 2020. We'll add that time on to 2021 when we're able to reopen. So we're being as cooperative as we can, understanding there is some hardship because of the circumstance.
All right, so a few things to follow up here because there's been a lot of confusion about some of the reporting on this, I think. So I just want to clarify some of this. So first of all, once you enter the park on this system, you don't have to leave by a certain time. So say if your entry time is 10:30, you have from 10:30 or later to enter the park. And once you're in, you can stay in. Right? You can stay in the park. There's not like, well, you're in from 10:30 to 12:30, then all these people are out, then a new rush of people is coming in. They have a total overall number of people that they want inside the park at all times, but they only want a certain number of people coming in at one point. They don't want a whole rush of all those people coming in right away at 9 a.m. because you create this big crowd at the front. So they want to stagger that capacity coming into the park. So once you're in, you're in. You don't have to leave. You have to leave before the place closes. You can't sleep over, but you can't, they're not going to kick you out at a certain time during the day. Also, as people leave the park, that might open up more capacity. So as people leave the park and are leaving the premises, right, they might open up more reservations. They might, throughout the day, so say if you're sitting around, like me, you don't live too far from Great America, and very often I sit around with my kids and all of a sudden we've got nothing to do in an afternoon. We want to shoot over to Great America for a couple of hours. You might be able to go onto the computer and look it up and say, hey, we can get in at 4 o'clock today, and then we can go in. And they might open up more reservation times throughout the day if the capacity is allowing that. How are they going to track that? I'm not quite sure, but that was something they said that might be a possibility. So you could keep checking the reservation system to see if a time opens up for you to come that day, is as early as that day. They're implementing so much new technology, or they're going to attempt to implement so much new technology, including the entry process of the park. So once you got your reservations, you show up, say your reservation time is at 10:30 a.m. Here's a little bit about what it's going to be like for you coming into the park after they reopen. Take a listen.
After that, it'll be a very revolutionary and very unique screening system coming into the park. a system called Evolve, and the Evolve system will actually allow temperature checks as well as bag entry, touchless bag entry, where we'll include metal detection and testing your bag for metal detection. You won't have to go through a screening where it is a touch screening once you're coming through the gate. After that point, we'll be doing social distancing, but in queue lines of restaurants. We'll be controlling the amount of people in our restaurants and retail shops, and in lines for the rides. On the rides themselves, they'll be spaced out. When you're on those rides, every other seat, every other row kind of spacing depending on that ride, as well as extreme sanitation. So we'll be wiping down basically the touch points, the queue rails, the handles on our rides, the restrooms, the tables in our restaurants, which will be further apart, of course, 6 feet apart. But we will be doing that much more regularly and much more extensively than we ever have before.
You mentioned a little bit about wiping down the coasters, for example. Do you do that between every dispatch?
We are going to do it in very high frequency, and I think we're going to have to take a look at what that means and how we can do it as efficiently and as effectively as possible. But these rides will be cleaner than they ever have been before.
So there you go. That was a lot to digest there, and you've probably seen some of the video going out from Six Flags of some of this technology and exactly how it's going to work. So you've got not only do you have this brand new reservation system, which is all online, you've got the bag screening system where you walk in and they don't have to dig through your bag anymore. They can see right metal detection and everything else right into your bag. There's the virtual queuing system, which we'll talk about, mobile food ordering. There's so much technology they are going to attempt to implement here sort of right away as they open the park. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all comes together. And I talked to them. I want to get a hands-on look at all this as you all. And they said they would have me back out before the park opens to sort of run through all this, to take a look at it and see how it works. And we can put together a story for you on WGN and on here to kind of show you how that's going to work and how they are going to try to make it all happen for you. But that's going to be pretty interesting. And you notice too, masks right now. In most places, I know in Illinois, you're asked to wear a mask anywhere where you cannot maintain social distance from somebody of 6 feet or more, in stores and everywhere else. So will we be required to wear masks at Six Flags Great America when they reopen? The answer is yes, but went through a little bit more detail on that. Take a listen.
All of our employees, all of our team members will be wearing masks. They will be wearing the proper protective equipment to make sure that they stay safe and to make sure that our guests stay safe as well.
So yeah, the team members are going to be wearing the masks, but also guests. As of today, if the park were to open today, yes, guests would be wearing masks, and I asked some questions about that as well. Take a look.
We are going to have to understand a little bit more about the guidance from the CDC, the state of Illinois, and the local health department. We're going to be making that determination when the time comes. If we were to open today, I would say yes, our guests will be required to wear those, because just like you're required to wear them at a grocery store or a retail establishment when we go into phase 3, that would be the case should we reopen, and that still be the case for the park.
What about on a coaster?
Yes, and we have had tests and done tests at some of our other parks where we've run rides, and we will be requiring masks on some of the rides when we do reopen.
So basically, if masks are required to be worn in the state of Illinois, you will be wearing them at Six Flags Great America. Even on the roller coasters, they say they have tested that, and that is something that can happen. We've seen it on roller coasters in Asia. I know some other parks have been testing masks on their rides recently across the country. And yeah, so that'll be a go. If they do open and masks are required, you'll be wearing them on coasters. And speaking of coasters, how about the social distancing feature on roller coasters? How exactly will that work? Who will you be allowed to sit next to on the ride? Can you sit with the people that you came with? And how are you going to separate from all the other people on the ride? Here's what he had to say about that.
No, you will be able to sit with people in your party, but from a stranger, you will be socially distant on our rides. And it really depends whether it's every other row, every other seat. It depends on the ride. So we'll be making sure that there's great social distance, in the proper social distance is a better way to say it, in all of our rides when we are reopened.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly how they do that in the queue as you're coming in. Are certain rows roped off, or do they stagger? Like you go to this one, then you go to that one, then they kind of rotate how people get in or don't get in. I'm guessing they'll be roped off so everyone's separated from each other. But the other thing about the queues is they say they will be introducing some kind of virtual waiting technology as when they open up the park. I asked them about that as well. How's that going to work? Take a look.
We will be having, areas of spacing where your party and your group has to stay, which will be 6 feet away from the people in front of you and the people behind you. We will be managing those queue lines as well. So we'll be working with a virtual queuing system as well, where you're going to be managing how many people ride that ride at a certain time to make sure everybody's not jammed into one of our bigger rides as well.
So that was another question. Like, you'll have a virtual line system,
Yes,
like a virtual waiting
we
system?
will. We will have a virtual waiting system of some kind, of some type, that we're still developing. But yeah, we will have a virtual line system as well.
You think that'll be like a permanent thing that comes out of this, maybe?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think we're going to be at a new normal of our theme park and the world for a while, and I think we're going to be learning some lessons on a lot of things. Technology is going to be a big part of our reopening. We think that technology is going to be something that we have developed for safety because of the COVID-19 situation. But we could learn some lessons, and our guests could like things that maybe become permanent, even when we're back to a relative new normal or a relative normal after a vaccine or a cure or whatever those situations are. They could be things that become permanent because they're just good for our business.
And what about mobile food ordering as well? That's been tested at some Six Flags parks across the country. There was talk that it was going to be introduced at Six Flags Great America last year. Will that be ready come opening day in 2020? Take a listen.
We will. Another part of the technology with the Six Flags app, you will be able to order in our restaurants through the virtual app. And then that food would be waiting for you from a touchless perspective, where you go pick it up and then you go to a table to eat that food as well.
Okay. And you think that'll be ready when you open up?
I do. Yeah,
Okay.
We'll be ready. We'll be ready to implement that. It's already been tested. In fact, that was something that we were going to be rolling out long before the COVID-19 situation, and has been tested at a handful of our parks around the system.
And this is something a lot of people have been talking about. When will Great America be able to open once they get the okay from the state? So the state says, all right, we looked at your plans. We know what phase we're in now. We're ready for something like this to open. You guys have the green light to open up. How long will it take Great America to open the gates to let people back into the park?
Let's say you get the okay from the state right now. They call and say, all right, you're good to go. How long does it take you to get up and running and open with all this stuff?
It's probably going to, we were about a month out from opening when the quarantine, when the stay-at-home order hit, and we decided as a company, and we're about a week before the state of Illinois with our stay-at-home order as a company, where we basically had our folks working from home. It's going to take us about a month for us to get back, get the buildings in order, get our rides rehabbed. Part of that's going to be the way we come back to work as well. We coming back in shifts, or all coming back together. But we feel like it's going to be about a month before we can get the majority of the park open.
So there's been a lot of reporting about this too, and a lot of talk about it. And I think it was clarified a little more as I talked to Hank throughout the morning, even after we were done with the interview. This doesn't necessarily mean that for them from today on, right, the park's about a month away from opening up. That doesn't mean that if they get the okay to open Great America on August 1st, that we're going to have to wait until September 1st to come back into Great America. What he's meaning when he says a month to open up, they need to get all their employees back into the park to be able to get the park ready, to beautify the park, to test the rides, to do maintenance on everything that needs maintenance, to implement all this technology and all the stuff that's in there. And it's going to take them about a month to get everything ready. Now, they don't have to wait until they get the green light for the state to start doing that. And you're seeing that in other states as well. You're seeing Kings Island, Cedar Point, some of these parks are cycling their rides. They're still closed, but they have their employees back in the park, and they are cycling things. They are getting things ready for opening day when they do get the green light. So even when we get into phase 3, I'm told Six Flags Great America may be able to get a lot more of their employees back into the park so they can start prepping these things, so they can start getting things ready. So that way when the state is ready for them to open, they can be a lot closer to opening than, say, a month away. I'm not sure if that gives us an exact timeline then of whenever the state says you're good to go, you can open, how close they will be. Will it be the next day or the next week? I don't know. But it won't necessarily be a month after the state says you're good to go, if that makes any sense. But I think that's been kind of just thrown out there. So hopefully that clarifies it a little bit. And just one other question. I've seen this from so many of you. Every time I post something about a theme park, people are like, how can you be talking about theme parks right now? I'm scared to go out into my neighborhood, let alone go into a crowded place with crowded people. So I asked Hank, should people feel safe going to a theme park? Take a listen.
I tell you, Marcus, I have a 17-year-old daughter. I will feel safe, my daughter, coming to visit the park. I think we are going to do a comprehensive job of making sure we're as relatively safe as anywhere else you can go. And I feel very, very strongly it is going to be safe to visit Six Flags Great America. Safety is always our number one priority in anything that we do. And we would not open Six Flags Great America unless we felt it would be safe for our team members as well as safe for the guests that visit. I just want your viewers to know, and I want everyone to know, that we are taking this incredibly seriously. We have from the very, very beginning, and we continue to. And this plan we're putting together has been in consultation with a lot of experts, epidemiologists, industry and safety experts from around the world. And we have put a plan together that I think is going to make this park as safe as any experience you could possibly have. We don't want to do it too early, but we also don't want to do it too late. We think we can be part of a very safe reopening of the state of Illinois.
And finally, last but not least, they have a new attraction that was scheduled to open in 2020, Tsunami Surge, the world's tallest water coaster going into Hurricane Harbor. I did ask them about that after the fact, of course, because I forgot during the interview with everything else that was going on. But I asked them, is this on track to open? If Hurricane Harbor gets the green light to open, is Tsunami Surge going to be ready to open in 2020? And their answer to me was basically, don't know yet. They don't know. Once they get the green light, more of an idea when they might be able to open, they say they'll have a much better idea of when and where the construction process sits with that and whether or not we would be able to open and if it's there yet. But basically the answer I got was they don't know. Or they're not saying right now whether or not the ride's going to open. I don't know. If you're asking my personal opinion, I'm not sure if it's going to be ready for 2020 or not, but maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised with all this, and all this new technology will come in without a hitch, and they'll be ready to open this new attraction. It seems like a big new attraction to open up, though. So we'll see if they can actually get that going. I'll keep you posted on that. And I really just want to know what all of your thoughts are on all this. When you hear about all this technology that they're implementing, does it make you feel safer and say, all right, maybe I do want to go back to a theme park right now? Or are you saying, hey, you know what, I'm just going to sit this season out and I'm going to wait till 2021? Hearing that from a lot of you guys who are saying that, and hearing from a lot of you saying, hey, I'm ready to get back out there and do this. So just love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and any other questions you all have about any of this stuff or anything else related to Six Flags Great America or any other theme parks. I can try to get answers for you. They did tell me when I left, they said, any other questions you have, please let us know, and they would get me answers as best as they could. So if you have anything else, let me know. And I'm apologizing this video went on so long. But I just think it's a topic that a lot of people are talking about, and there's a lot of information here that we're all trying to digest and understand exactly how it's going to work. But boy, oh boy, did they have a lot of stuff to work on over there before they're going to get their doors open for the 2020 season. I appreciate all of you. I hope you are healthy. I hope you're doing the best you can with this quarantine situation. And stay safe, stay healthy, and we will talk to you very soon.